Welcome back. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Wednesday, May 20th. It is 7:01 on the East Coast. Mortgage rates in America surging to the highest level since July 31st. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage now over 6.3%. As of May 14th, over 5.7% for a 15-year loan. As mortgage rates follow overall rates, short-term rates, which have been spiking. Pending home sales up in April, over 3% year over year. And joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner. Secretary, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I know you're making some big changes in terms of allowing and enabling people to buy homes and take out mortgages. But what do you want to say about this spike in mortgage rates today? What can you do and what should be done in terms of getting these rates lower?
Well, good morning, Maria. It's always great to be with you. You know, the president is laser focused on keeping our country safe, to not have an evil regime, to have a nuclear weapon. The president is focused on that to make sure that Americans and American people are safe. But also he's focused on domestic policy and making housing affordable again. We saw that with his two executive orders, one to take down the barriers to build affordable housing and then increase the competition in the mortgage industry. We see that the mortgage rates are going up and down, the last couple of months. But one thing about it, our economy is strong. The president is focused. The administration is focused. The policies that he's implemented will allow American people to prosper, not just now, but for years to come. And so I'm encouraged by it. The president is encouraged. He's focused. And so I would tell the American people, continue to stay faithful because the president is focused on America and America only.
Yeah. And this move in rates has been really driving through all markets. People are worried about the 10-year getting close to 4.7%. Of course, rates are pulling back this morning. So let's talk about some of your news this morning. We've got breaking news for us this morning. Your department is rolling out new guidelines for state and local governments to help cut the red tape, increase home ownership. It's focused on the best practices to decrease home construction costs and unlock land for residential housing development, accelerate construction timelines as well. Secretary, what can you tell us? How will you do that?
Yes, Maria, we're very excited about this in accordance with the president's EO to remove the barriers to construction of affordable homes in our country. In partnership with the White House, we are today announcing our report on regulatory best practices that have been taken from cities and states around the country that are already implementing these best practices to increase housing supply and take down the cost to build. We want to make it easier to build and easier to buy for the American people. And so I'm excited about this. There are cities that are already doing these things. We encourage them to continue. And cities that are not implementing these best practices, we are encouraging them to take inventory of the regulatory environment, implement these best practices, increase housing supply, and take the cost down. And so I think this is a great move in partnership with the White House, and that the American home buyers should be excited that we're taking an all-above approach to make sure that people can achieve the American dream.
And one of the big issues, of course, has been supply on the market, right? We've talked about that in the past, that there wasn't even enough supply for people to actually buy a home. Has that been addressed?
Yes, ma'am. And so this will help us from a supply side, from a demand side, but more importantly, from a supply side, because of the regulatory environment. As I travel the country, Maria, and I meet with home builders, developers, localities, and economic development, entrepreneurs around our country, the number one issue that I hear is local regulation, burdensome regulation, be it duplicative fees, be it modernizing technology processes, streamlining the processes. I hear this all over our country, and so this best practices report will help us to address these things, which will increase the supply, because if you make it easier for developers to develop and builders to build, and supply comes up and costs come down, that's a benefit to the American people.
Meanwhile, Secretary, you testified recently in front of the House Appropriations Committee defending the president's push to cut wasteful spending from the department's budget, a 13% decrease. Tell us more.
Yes, ma'am. And so, I'm in line, obviously, with the president and his budget. We want to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollars. And so this helps us to decrease the size of government programs and increase the amount of people that will be self-sufficient in our country. My heart, Maria, and the president's heart and our leadership is that people in America will not only be self-sufficient, but not have to have a lifetime of depending upon the government. And so as we take inventory of these programs at HUD, we want to make sure that the American taxpayer dollar are funding the programs that bring real results for real people in America. And, you go on Capitol Hill, and the sentiment oftentimes is, let's just throw money at the problem. It's not the money. It's the stewardship of the money. It's the distribution, the allocation, and a laser focus on the mission. And that mission is to serve the most vulnerable people in our country, to help them be self-sustainable. And that's my job as a secretary, and I'm steadfast in, and I'm encouraged about the work that we're doing.
Do you think we're sort of at the beginning of plans of a new package next year in terms of housing? I mean, Congress has underdelivered when it comes to housing, haven't they?
Well, as you know, both chambers right now have a version of this housing bill in front of them. They're negotiating. The president, as you know, is very involved. We at HUD have given our input as it pertains to HUD and things of this nature. I'm glad that the House, leader, that Mike Johnson and Thune are talking. They're both great leaders. I know they've been negotiating. I've been in talks, with people on the Hill and leadership. And so I'm encouraged by it, Maria. If they were not talking, if they were not negotiating, then I would be concerned, but they are talking, they are negotiating, they are every single day, and they want to get a package for the American people to unleash home building in our country.
I know Maxine Waters has talked about $10 billion in first-generation home buyer down payments and establishing a $5 billion in Lift home loans to provide first-time home buyers money there. So I wondered what you thought about the versions in Congress in terms of housing right now.
Well, me, I want to make sure that we're being good stewards over taxpayer dollars. Growing government is not the answer. Making housing available, increasing the supply, taking the cost down, those three areas, as you see in our new best practices, our regulatory best practices report and the president's leadership, that's the theme. Make housing affordable, increase the supply, bring the cost down, and focus on the American family. And that's what we're doing every single day.
Secretary, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Scott Turner joining us.